This is The Fifth Estate, a conversation between young African scholars from the Fortall School of Government and Professor Mutahi Ngonyi. This Sunday, we'll begin with a story about a Chinese farmer, his only son, and a horse that they loved. One day, the horse ran away. On hearing this, the Kimbelembele neighbors proclaimed, "This is a disaster." But the farmer replied, "Maybe, maybe not." The next morning, the horse returned with 3 other wild horses. The neighbors were impressed. They declared to the farmer, "What a wonderful gift from God." But the farmer replied, "Maybe, maybe not." A day later, the farmer's son tried to ride the wild horses. He was thrown off and broke his leg. The idle neighbors concluded, "This bad luck has now degenerated to a curse." But the farmer replied, "Maybe, maybe not." After a week, the military came to the village. They were looking for strong young men to send to war. And because the farmer's son had broken his leg, he was disqualified. The neighbors' sons died in the unnecessary war, but the farmer's son was spared.
What is our point here? If IBC botches this election, some people believe that country will burn, and we say, maybe, maybe not. If Raila does not win this election, some people believe that country will burn, and we say, maybe, maybe not. If Uhuru loses this election, some people believe that Raila will victimize them, and we say, maybe, maybe not. If we are forced to form a grand coalition government like in 2007, some people believe that Nusu Mkate is a bad idea, but we say, maybe, maybe not. Where are we going with this? 2 months to the August 8th poll, no one knows the direction the country will go. But there are 3 myths about this election that we must burst.
The first myth is that a grand coalition government will never happen again in Kenya, and that a coalition government is a bad thing anyway. We disagree. For starters, if we are 2 months to the election and there is no clear winner, we are headed for a coalition government, 0 option. Whatever Uhuru does, if he wins, Raila will force this coalition. This is his plan B. And although some people believe that such a grand coalition is a bad thing, we say, maybe, maybe not. In fact, we submit that the most prosperous years in Kenyan politics happened during the Kibaki-Raila coalition era. We built roads, revived the economy, and killed the politics. Is a repeat of these years desirable? We say, maybe, maybe not.
But some argue that a grand coalition government is bad for William Ruto, that it will reduce his chances of becoming president. And we say, maybe, maybe not. Let us illustrate this using a grandmother's story. Once upon a time, a mother had 2 oranges to feed 3 children. 1 child was hers, and the other 2 belonged to her neighbors. To favor her own child, and yet make the other 2 children feel special, this is what she did. She gave each of the neighbor's children a whole orange and gave her child nothing. Then she asked each child to share half of their orange with her child. They did this happily. In the end, of course, her child had 2 halves or a full orange. In the meantime, the neighbor's children took only 1 half of their orange each, and they felt special. And this is the William Ruto situation. If a grand coalition becomes inevitable, Uhuru will have to give up half of his orange to Ruto, and Raila will also have to give up half of his orange. Ruto must not resist this. It is his path to the presidency.
In my view, Raila is a tired idea, and calling himself Joshua has been a disaster. It has not worked. The Joshua imagery is not believable, and the more he has tried to sell it, the more we have rejected him as Joshua. We are not even sure of his faith. And the question here is simple. Can Raila be Joshua and be accused of doing witchcraft at the same time? Is it possible for Joshua to have been accused of witchcraft? Not possible. In my view, this Joshua narrative is officially dead. And if Raila pursues it, it will be the light that will expose his dark side. He should drop this Joshua nonsense or be exposed, in my view. But in the meantime, a coalition government will happen as zero option. But the myth about it is that a coalition equals Raila. And this is a big fat lie. In my view, a coalition will happen with or without Raila. And this is why the combination has rejected Raila and his Joshua hallucinations. If rejection of Joshua is picked by other tribes, this election could just become an anti-Raila crusade. But then again, it could also be right.
And now the second myth about the August election. Some people believe there will be violence, but we say maybe, maybe not. In the past, we assumed that this will be Raila's trajectory, that if he loses the election, he will use violence to negotiate a place in government. But this is a myth. Let me explain. Although Raila trusts Kalonzo, Mudavadi and Wetangula, we as a nation do not trust their intentions. They will betray him. The only reason why violence was used to negotiate the 2007 coalition is because Raila's allies did not abandon him. But this time, they will abandon him. And this is why he cannot count on violence happening. The solidarity will be broken. I need to break this down further. If Raila loses the election narrowly, Uhuru will offer the Prime Minister position to Kalonzo, and Kalonzo will grab it. Then he will offer Mudavadi a position, and he will grab it. This is how Raila will be left alone, rotting on the streets, as Kalonzo and Mudavadi form a coalition government with Uhuru.
And now, for the third and final myth. They have told us that Raila will end his useless life if he loses this election. In fact, the simpletons and earthlings from the media have told us that Raila has only one bullet left. They have told us that Raila is like a cat with 9 lives, and that currently he is on his 9th life. In our view, these are just myths. They are imageries meant to create a sense of urgency about a Raila presidency. But here's the truth. Raila was born a presidential candidate. Whether he gets it or not isn't important. If he fails in 2017, he will try in 2022. And if he fails in 2022, he will try in 2027. If he fails in 2027, he will try in 2032. Even 2037 is an option. But if he can get into government through a coalition, he will take this shortcut in 2017. Some say that this is wrong. But we say maybe, maybe not.
The weakest link in this election is the IEBC. They are treating this election like a Sunday school picnic. When we question their methods, they tell us to trust them. When we tell them that Chebukati and his wailing sisters have no history we can trust, they look at us badly and catch feelings. IEBC, in our view, is like a baby holding a big hammer. The baby is innocent, but they have no idea how harmful the hammer they are carrying will be. Let me break this down. IEBC was engineered to fail. It was engineered to be the sacrificial lamb. It was engineered as an innocent baby holding a hammer. If this is true, the failure of IEBC will result in a coalition government. And maybe this was Raila's idea all along, to replace the old and experienced IEBC with a naive IEBC as a way of getting to power through their failure. Some say this was a bad political strategy, but we say maybe, maybe not.